What's going on, everybody? Welcome to SafeWord on Friday night. All right, so you guys know what it is. This is SafeWord, your platform for teaching, learning, and opening the eyes of our audience to the world of kink, BDSM, and relationships. I am your host, Mr. K. Marcos.
And I am your other host, Aurora Storm.
And it's your co-host, Miss Sasha Lyncher.
Right. So what are we talking about today? If you watch the we didn't have a video this week. We didn't have a video this week because what we're talking about tonight is sex workers. So, what did y'all want us to give you? If you want to see that video, though, you can join our Patreon, and the link to that and everything else will be in the description box below.
And while you're down there, go ahead and like and subscribe so you can stay up to date for all your educational content on kink, BDSM, and say what now?
Relationships.
All right. So real quick, before I go into our safe word spiel, I just want to say hello to our A1 from day one. I'm mixing it up a little bit here. Yes, we're going to say hi first because he jumped in. Hey, now. Okay. He rocks with us on all the videos, all of our lives. He's just there. He be in it to win it. He's a ride or die. So he gets a shout out. So safe word crew, can we say hello to our favorite fan? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey.
What up, Roy? We missed you. Yes, you're my boy,
Blue. Hello.
Welcome back, Carter.
But if you want your shout out, like Mr. Roy just got, okay, on a platform,
special.
You better start watching, liking, subscribe, all those things, and
commenting
while you're down
there.
Let
us know you're there.
While you're down there in our box, make it worth your while.
And then we'll give you a shout out.
So if you just landed on,
I don't have a box.
You don't got a box?
Well,
no. Well, I'm sorry. You ain't even got a box to play with.
You could be boxed. So you got a box.
I got a couple of
right.
those.
Okay, right. So you got some boxes to play with. All right. So let's not go there. All right. So if you just landed on this page and you have no idea what you're watching, this is Safe Word. And here on Safe Word, we have a safe word of the day. We use this safe word to stop, halt, and completely put a pause on all topic of conversation. So safe word crew, well, we like to let everybody know what the safe word of the day is. If you don't know, it's right here on the board. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Work.
Okay,
work. So you say that we're safe word to stop it, halt it, make it just get silent. But sometimes, because we use Zoom here at Safe Word, we have audio issues. So crew, what do we do when we're saying the safe word and nothing's shutting up? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Pow! Throw up that symbol and make sure you say the safe word of the day, which is work. Work. Okay, so everyone knows what it is. Mr. Kane, do we have Miss Sasha?
Hot topics.
Yes.
I love it. That's getting better and better like every week, and it was already like the best from the get-go.
Right. Hey.
You know what? I just got some sad news, honestly. You know me. I gotta bring the most recent, gossip and everything else. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I wouldn't report on it so much if they'd quit dropping dead, like how they've been doing this past, recently as of late. Like, I wish I didn't have to report this kind of stuff, but I really got to give a shout out. I really got to give, a lot of respect and a bid farewell to Mr. Gilbert Godfrey.
Right.
I literally cried. I cried. I can't cry.
Wait, say that again?
Yago?
Just my whole childhood, like everything, like what's that little bad behind boy? There was a movie, there was some little bad boy, and he was just so many movies that he was in. I'm Problem Child. I think Problem Child.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if I feel like I'm showing my age with that one, but yeah, just so many other greats where that screechy little voice just soothed my soul growing up.
Yep.
You know, the crazy thing about it is like, so I've seen a lot of like his films and everything, and he always played like that really iconic character with that voice. And I heard a lot about, how I found out about his death was, I listened to a popular radio show, and they were talking about, meeting with him behind the scenes, going out to lunch, having, not really publicized, just meetings with him, and that he was the calmest, sweetest, most respectful human being you could ever meet. Like, just, he didn't normally talk like that. That was really a persona that he put on. and it was iconic. And so just to know that outside of just what you know and love him for, he was 10 times better just behind the camera, you know, off the sets, off the screens, not in the public eye. He was just an all-around great dude. And, you know, honestly, I can say this beyond the shadow of a doubt, the world will never see the like of him ever again, because he was one in
a million.
Infinity.
Yeah.
Yep.
So bid farewell to Mr. Gilbert Godfrey. That's all I really have for hot topics today. I mean, like that was just like the most pressing thing that came
right.
up.
Just bring us some depressing stuff, but you know,
it's motherfucking Gilbert Godfrey. Like I ain't gonna try and bring some other news topic and be like, in other news, nah, like that man. He was a big part of a lot of, you know, our formative years. So I'm gonna give him that respect and let him be the only hot topic of the day. So
I love it. I love it.
I tip my cap to one of the best comedians, and it wasn't my friend personally, but I know he was a good friend. I know he was a good person. So to everybody sincerely and personally affected by his loss, our condolences. To everybody else who, you know, he touched their lives in some way or another through his films, through his art, through his work, you know, just, hey, you'll be missed. So
yep, exactly. So tonight we are diving deep on the world of sex work. What exactly is a sex worker? And I know that Mr. Kane wanted to kick this off with a very perplexing, you know, comment and question. He's got something for us to think about. So I'm gonna pass it to King because he got something for us to think about.
No, honestly, so I really wanted this to be like as free flow, open, just open forum, really trying to get away from, you know, all of this stuff. Everybody, you know, we get a lot of comments saying to keep everything as real as possible. So really, this is something that, you know, we can talk about knowledgeably. This is something that we know a little bit about. So we're going to keep this off script. I got a couple of notes that I'm going to share with you guys. So the first one that I wanted to throw out there, because you know me, I got to come with the technicality and everything, but then it's going to be done. So what is a sex worker? By definition, is someone who exchanges the physical act of sex for money or goods.
Right.
All right. So that is the textbook, you know, outline, black and white definition of what a sex worker is.
Yes.
So the reason I bring that up is because that's not all it's about. You know, there's layers to this, man. Like
layers.
We're gonna peel them back.
Right. All right. So we're gonna dive deep into this onion. All right. So first of all, there's sex workers, and then there's sexual exploitation.
Yes.
All right.
I would definitely agree with that, because there's a big difference between those two.
All right. So, and the biggest difference is that, one of them is voluntary and the other one's also known as human trafficking. So
yeah.
All right. If you didn't know that, the more you know.
Okay, but what do you think falls under like the sex worker? I think we kind of understand and what sexual explicit, where we going. We ain't diving into that tonight. So I'm gonna ask my crew and open it up, because Miss Sasha was like, okay, well, hold up. So let's get her opinion on this. What do you think is a sex worker? What falls into that?
Like Brother Kane was saying, someone who exchanges explicit sexual acts for money. And I feel like that goes for physical and goes into other realms of things too, which I feel like the lines of that conversation are getting blurred. So I feel like if you do that online as well, then you are a sex worker.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a cam model, because, that, and there's blurred lines with cam modeling and even like pictures and stuff like that. So I feel like that's
your own business. It depends on where you're taking it. You know what I'm saying? It depends on how far you take
literally where you're taking it.
Yeah. So what do you think, Mr. Kane, without the textbook in front of you? What do you
honestly,
think a sex worker?
I think Sasha put it perfectly. Like, those lines are definitely blurring. But I think it's because, like, as a society, we're really starting to get that, like, really taboo mentality around what sex work is. And so, like I said, I just gave you the definition of what a sex worker is. But if you go out in town, if you look, like, what do they call it? The court of public opinion. Anybody who uses their sexuality or exploits themselves sexually in order for monetary gain, they kind of get that title of a sex worker. So, I mean, that is including cam models. That is including, people and I hate to say it, you know, and I don't want to like pigeonhole everybody, and I don't want to group and typecast everything, but I hate to say it, but like society, that's how they're viewing it now.
Right. That's exactly how society is viewing it, but I don't necessarily think that that's definitely how it should be categorized. And we're gonna get into that tonight. We got some opinions on layers, this, okay? So. Because even us doing this show, we could be labeled sex workers. We really could. We could fall into that category.
Looked at, you know, as a couple of these scenarios we're going to go through, we could be looked at as like less bad because we do talk about it.
Right, exactly. Just because we're talking about it, then we're categorized as a sex worker.
But well, like, I mean, even when we did an interview at the Sexual History Museum in Vegas, I mean, the curator of that museum, amazing person, has multiple doctorates in that field, studies, you know, sexual artifacts and everything from different points in history. And I hate, like, I'm going to say that a lot. That's going to be my crutch for the night. I hate to say it, but that person is going to be viewed as a sex worker because, hey, that is her profession. That is her area of employment. She is in the business of sex.
But I think sex workers got. Okay, go ahead, Sasha. Go ahead.
No, and even on top of that, like, that's great that she sheds the light. Like, yeah, this is an educated person that's educated in different, totally different things than sex. And I'm sure people from the outside looking in, they're like, oh, she's probably like something bad happened to her, or she probably was a sex worker herself, and she probably.
And I personally think the sex worker, the title where it sits in society, has gotten a bad rap. Okay, because like, just because you're a sex worker doesn't mean you're not smart, intelligent, have businesses running. You're trying to, you know, you're a hustler. Like for real, a lot of times I've known sex workers or people that are categorized as sex workers, and it's like they do more hustle than most like major professions. I mean, just the hustle that is there because you're working for yourself.
So okay, so I would love to propose a question. What is the difference between a sex worker and like someone who just does the lewd act for free? Is it just the exchange of monetary value that makes them a sex worker? Because I
think that's what categorizes. Right.
What?
I think that's what categorizes it, is the exchange of money. You know, it doesn't matter what your services are. I mean, you could work at a massage parlor and, you know,
monetary in exchange for something monetary.
Right. And you're getting money for your services. But it's really weird because it's I mean, there's levels to this, and just connecting with someone or touching someone in that kind of way that might lead them to be aroused, all of a sudden it becomes, okay, well, I'm being paid for this. Even a massage, you know what I'm saying? Some masseuses are considered sex workers, you know?
They're pleasure providers. They're companionship providers. Like, that's what it would be considered back in the day, or, you know, in the 1400s, the 1500s, you know, people that like, this has been a profession like since the beginning of time, like a period, like, you know,
there's a need for it. There's a need for it. Okay. And I had this conversation with Ken earlier, but there's a need for it. Just like there's a need for a bartender. And back in the day when, you know, that shit was banned, that was looked down upon. But I mean, there's a need for it. People do it and do it in secret, and they may be a lawyer and be sitting there collecting, you know, porn or freaking on OnlyFans.
Sexual healing. You know? Like, why would you not?
Right. And why is it wrong? Why is it bad? Why is it labeled bad?
I'm thinking of old school songs. Love you is wrong, that I don't want to be right.
That actually cracked me up because I was thinking of old songs too, when I was like looking over all this stuff, and I was like developing like what I wanted to talk about was you guys remember somebody by the name of Cher?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
She had a popular song called Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves.
Yes, yes.
And one of the best lyrics out of that song is, but every night all the men would come around and they'd lay their money down.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Everybody wants to act like, you know, oh, if you're a sex worker, you know, you're a sinner, you're a harlot, you're a whore, you're all these different things, all these negative attributes. Yes. But on the sly, they're like, oh no, you can't be in here. Meet me out back.
Right, exactly. And here's the deal: like, if you really, you know, just get down to the brass tacks of it, you're paying for it regardless. If you're going out on a date with a woman with the intentions of laying with her or doing anything sexual, you're paying for it regardless.
And the gag is just because you feel like you're paying for what you want, you're still doing it. Okay.
Yeah, you're still doing it. You're still doing it. You know, and it's a very natural thing. I mean, it is. It's something that is human nature. We need sex. We enjoy it. We do it because it's fun. We do it because it feels good, because it, you know, inhibits, you know, endorphins and all these other things. So why is that? And that would break into a whole nother conversation.
Oh God, because the way my mind just went,
right. I'm like, we may do this one on Patreon, but
yeah,
why is it that everything that we like, everything that feels good, everything that is pleasure receptive, right, is something that is deemed wrong within society? You know?
I'm gonna go off on a tangent here because that opened up a rabbit hole for me that I'm just like, ooh. So
I love it.
I think it really started off like way back in the day, like I think it started off from hate. Now follow with me real quick.
Okay.
When you find somebody, like something about them just rubs you the wrong way, and doesn't matter what they do, it's just, damn it, that person's feeding the homeless, man. Like, mother, you know, just everything that they do, you'll find an issue with. So I think it really came down to the fact that, wait, this person's making somebody happy. This person's finding happiness. I don't want that person to be happy. So I'm in a position of power to say, hey, I can take away that line, that profession or whatever, and make you miserable again. So everything that is good. And, you know, like, I know you hear it from a lot of like drug addicts, users, stoners, things like that. It's like, oh, legalize it. And I think that really is just where it really comes from, is a bid for control, a bid for power. Just, you know, like, how dare you be happy without permission?
Right.
Honestly, I'm surprised it hasn't been taken over in that manner. Like,
if you really want to get down to like the nitty gritty of it, yeah, you could probably make a compelling argument for that. There really shouldn't be a need for drugs. You know, like, I'll probably get some hate mail for that, but, you know, like, let's go ahead and just, you know, play devil's advocate. There probably wouldn't be a need for drugs.
Right.
But sex?
Oh, there's a need for that. I'm sorry.
There's definitely like, everybody does it. Everybody wants it.
You're going to sit here and say that that's not something
way, shape, or form they're about it.
Okay, so I propose a thought for people. In other countries where they're more sexually liberated, don't they have a lower like drug and like, you know, violence?
Yes,
rate?
Yes, they do. They definitely do.
I think
and
so.
that would be an interesting thing for Kane to bring back to the next live, because you like to look.
I've already talked about it. It's at least reduced by 20 to 23%.
Okay, 20 to 23%. So there you go. But I would love to know, like, what country, what place is the most
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. Okay, so what?
Because we talked about that in one of our lives.
Yeah, but like, is that like legit right here, right now? That would be interesting to find out.
I think one of the most sexually liberated cities with the lowest crime rate as far as rape and sexual assault cases, off the top of my head right now, would be France.
France, okay. And so then it would just be interesting to
or Italy.
Or Italy.
Yeah, for real. I was thinking Italy, in like Greece, someplace like that where people could sunbathe naked. It's not a problem.
Well, and it's funny because the whole reason that I even got the idea to start any of this was I was in Amsterdam. I was sitting there listening at a cafe I mean, in the cafes, you know, the tables are close. Okay. Big party, this big group over here, it's busy. Okay. But this table over here is talking about butt plugs. And this one over here is talking about riding people like horses. And I'm just like, and they're loud. And I'm just like,
this is what y'all talk about? Like, yeah. I just left from down the street, child. I feel great.
Right.
I'm sitting at the weed cafe. Like, I just left from getting that over there. Like,
right. No, there was a girl that was sitting there, a woman that was sitting there, and she's like, I went up a half a centimeter on my butt plug. I'm really proud of myself. And the other girl, they were on a girls' night, and they're just like, yeah, bitch, wait till you get to this centimeter. And I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. You know, and as sexually liberated and open as I am, it was weird to hear in public. You know what I mean?
Did you happen to keep contact with any of them?
Like, so I was overhearing a table. But if you want all that, you can go to Amsterdam. I'm just saying. They are sexually liberated and free there.
But that's dope. And I think I I don't know, we're on the brink of sexual liberation in the United States a little bit more, but it's still getting pigeonholed. Like we're talking about it today.
No, it really is, because here's the deal. Because even Amber
They're
Rose
trying to be gatekeepers of who can capitalize on it.
Well, yeah, and even Amber Rose was getting some headway with starting Slut Walk and that whole thing, and she had a promotion behind it. And then there was something that I don't remember what it was, but I read something that kind of put a halt in it. Now she's trying to start it back up. But it was literally critics coming after her, because like the last parade she did, there was like protesters there, and I'm just like, why?
But
like,
then there's people like Kevin Samuels who openly call women whores and diagnose them for how they want to be a sex worker, or how they want to finesse men, or whatever the case may be, and call them sluts. But a woman can't take the empowerment to say, yeah, the negative things that you want to say about me because I believe in hypergamy, or I want to be courted, or whatever the case may be, or I love my body and that's why you want to.
I just want to show it off. I'm an ex.
I have to be a slut.
Yeah. Why do I have to be a slut?
Well, and so I don't know if you guys heard about this recently. I know you guys are like avid football fans. You guys hear the latest news on why Cam Newton's in trouble?
I have no.
So Cam Newton was on a podcast and said that he wanted a subservient woman. Didn't exactly use those words, but described the tendencies of a subservient woman. And it's caused a lot of backlash because, like you said, I mean, we're coming onto a cusp of like sexual liberation and female empowerment and everything else like that. And so a lot of people are, like, it's polarizing. And that's the bitch of every situation, is that you're always going to have people on this side. Yep. You're always going to have people on that side. And it's impossible to get every person to agree. And I think we spend way too much time worrying about the small minority groups that are going to care the most. And not to say that their opinions aren't valid, but you're really inconveniencing a mass majority of a population for the bitches and discretions of a very tight-knit community that doesn't like it. And it's not enough nowadays for you to just say, well, I don't like it, I'm not going to engage in it. Again, we get back to that. It's hate. It's don't want to see other people happy. If they hate it, they want to make sure nobody else enjoys it either. So
just mind your business. Don't look. It's not bothering you. I can see, on the other hand, how some parents or people get like, okay, I just don't, certain things I want to keep my kids away from, and certain things super out there, and it's like it's unavoidable. So I see how people are like, okay, do it, but over here. But still,
I mean, I don't think anybody should be under the age of 18. Doing this kind of thing. So
and if they are partaking in it, then explain it to your kids and move on, or just, turn the other way and say, baby, we'll have a talk later. But, it should be okay in this day and age to embrace your body and do whatever you want with it. And if you don't like it, don't look. If it makes you uncomfortable, that's all you can say. It makes you uncomfortable that someone's happy in their own skin doing what they want to do. And you wish you probably could go hop somewhere and get a couple dollars, but you're too scared. You'd rather do it for free. So
right. I wanted to bring this up just because I thought it was, for one, amusing, and two, for as much work and everything that goes into like case studies and, like identifying, issues and putting a name to it and trying to, figure out as much data and provide as much information available. It really falls short of everything that's out there. I mean, like, whenever you try to approach something from a professional aspect, you're always going to miss the minute details. And those ones are always, the most important. So there's this guy, his name was John E. Exner. John E. Exner, not Johnny. He was an American psychologist, and he created basically a class separation of 5 distinct classes of sex workers. And like I said, it's amusing. So I wanted to throw this out there to you guys, get your opinion on it, and then see if you guys could figure out why it was amusing. So first off, you got your upper class of courtesans, and usually that comes like with call girls and things like that. Then you have your middle class, which is in-house girls. And those ones usually work in an establishment where, that type of practice is practiced, and they're usually on commission,
like a dungeon.
Yeah
Usually by commission. Then you have the lower middle class, which is what he categorized as streetwalkers, where the fees and the place of employment change because it's mobile. Then you have commuter housewives,
Wait, what?
Commuter housewives is a category that this man listed.
Okay.
And this was just those who engage in sexual acts to supplement income, not necessarily because they have to, but because it supplements an income.
Okay.
All right. So the way that I kind of see it is kind of like using it as a side hustle.
Okay. Right. We gonna dive into this when you get through all these
all right. Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to do this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then you have
my short circuited. I said,
right. We're short circuiting over.
All right, and then you have your fifth class, which is what he called streetwalker addicts, which is people who use sex for drugs.
That is real.
Yeah,
that is real.
That's a real thing. Yeah. Hunts Point is a real thing. Yeah.
And so this was the 5 distinct classes of sex workers. And so I'll throw the first question out there, and this is why I thought it was amusing. Where do adult entertainment stars fall into this? Because wouldn't they technically be classified as sex workers? Because there's penetration, genital to genital contact, and there is a fee. There are paychecks, taxable income.
Go ahead. Yeah,
in my mind, it's two consenting adults getting paid by a network to have sex. Like you have to pretty much, depending on the situation and how you're wrangled, I guess, as that worker.
Right, how you're handled.
Yeah, exactly. There's people who run their own companies and they you're dealing with who you want to deal with, and so it's fair exchange for fair robbery. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, I wouldn't feel like, to me, sex work is being pimped. Like you're paying somebody else for the service. So like a dungeon, something like that. Or then you're a sex addict and you're getting paid for it. I don't know. It's like, there's so many different ways to look at this situation.
Well, and then there's I just want to throw this out there. A long time ago, somebody said, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Or if you're good at something, never do it for free.
All facts.
All right. And I'm going to say it, a lot of people engage in these activities. A lot of sex workers are sex workers because they do enjoy the activity. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not calling all of it. Don't sit here and say okay, Marco said every sex worker loves what they do. No, not everybody loves what they do. Not everybody's engaged in it, but you do have a lot of people who are into it because they are legitimately into it and do enjoy it.
God, that made me mad when they were talking about, especially that, so the people who are at home and they're making a supplemental income, I feel like that is a cam model. Depending on what you do on there, I feel like you're a cam model. Once you start to do the realm of coupling, or you're doing that as I don't know, that's different than that is sex work for monetization online.
Right.
So there you go.
So I've got a comment, and he said, what about the SafeWord crew? You guys get paid for what you do. And real deal. So here's a question on,
you guys think we're sex workers?
Right. Well, and hey, we do for all intents and purposes fall under that. So using just this, because we're going to go through these a little bit, but using just this fucking grid here, where real quickly do you think SafeWord crew falls in? Upper class, middle class, lower middle class, commuter housewives, or streetwalker addicts?
Be commuter housewives in this.
Boy, stop.
We're commuter housewives. We're the nosy commuter housewives. Right. But we're doing it for free. So are we sex workers?
Right, for real. I mean, and I'm more of a coach and counselor.
Yes, exactly.
But it's cool.
I don't think we've gotten into that realm yet. Maybe year 3. Who knows? But not yet, guys. Thanks, though.
Real quick, Shane, where do you think we fall in that category? If we were to be categorized societally, where do we sit?
You know what? I would honestly call us upper class, not necessarily courtesans or call girls or anything, but as educators and as people hey, we're necessary.
Yes.
We're top tier. We're not, I wouldn't classify us as addicts. I wouldn't classify us as commuters.
No.
Our place of employment is pretty steady. I mean, you guys know where we're at. I mean, we're in the same spot.
Yes, exactly.
We do travel series, but that's not,
right, we don't travel for sex engagements. That's not.
No, we don't. Journalistic purposes, let me tell it.
And so I'd either say, we're either upper class or middle class. We have an establishment and people know where to find us, and we know what we're doing.
There you go. And we're giving people education. So I would say that we're up there with the upper class, but I wouldn't call us a call girl. We ain't call girls.
No, we ain't coming with somebody say giddy up. No, we're not. Okay, we're not no trick ponies over
for yourselves.
here. Okay?
Call me when you want.
Call me when you need.
Y'all better at Mr.
I'll be on the way.
He ready.
He on his Mr. K Marcos. He's here.
What's
for
that
all
little boy name?
He's like, I'm a sex worker and I'm freaking proud.
He's all, call me by my name. He ready for it. He want to sling that hair, honey. You better at Mr. K Marcos.
Okay,
watch out now.
So okay, what class did we let's break this down a little bit and okay, so what class did we leave off on? Middle? No, we were on lower, right?
No,
I said
middle or upper.
Middle. Okay,
he said middle upper.
Okay,
I would think based on the definition on that list that we would be the housewife situation. I don't know what the housewife per se is because they didn't specify what the housewife is doing, but that's like cam model type situation. That
supplement. Supplement family income. That's what the housewife one.
Supplemental family income. Hey, I would classify as that. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone?
Okay, so like I said, it'll be up in the upper class just because I want to think of myself as the upper.
Well, we are.
I'm educating y'all.
Exactly. I agree with y'all. But based on the list, that's what I'm going on.
Well, and outside of that, like wherever SafeWord falls, I mean, like where do cam models fall? Where do adult entertainment fall? Where do, like all of these other, there's a lot of professions that could be classified as sex work, but where do they fall? I mean, I want to say that this is a very incomplete list by somebody who might have done the research and might have found the data, but didn't have enough personal experience to be able to speak not so much intelligibly, but just knowledgeably on this subject. Like,
someone who was
I could sit on YouTube, I could sit on Wikipedia, and I could create a theory of thermodynamics tomorrow. That doesn't make me an astrophysicist or anything like that. So
I had an interesting conversation with someone, and I was talking about content creators, such like certain content creators versus escorts. So I would say a higher class, I guess, not higher class, someone who gives a different experience online. I would almost say that that's a escort kind of. You're subscribing to someone because of the experience they're providing, not necessarily the sexual portion of it. Because there's get off girls and there's fantasy girls and there's so many different types
levels
of it within the.
There's so many levels to this. I mean, like that's why we started this, is to explain that there are levels.
And people get an escort misconstrued from a call girl because that's almost like an independent contractor of an experience. You're giving like a girlfriend experience, or you're giving I'm accompanying you. Yeah. And what you decide to do, if you like, I'm feeling bruh, like this is an experience, then you're just, that's the nightcap. You feel me? Yeah. Like that's what you choose to do. Back in the days, like Harlem Nights, Sunshine.
Yep.
She got paid for her services, and he was like, I'm leaving home. So,
hey, Holly Court, put mama on the phone. Hey, listen, I ain't never coming home again. Take it easy.
My name is Sunshine.
Well, and I mean,
those were experiences. You're paying for an experience. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing when you're dating. You're courting, you're getting an experience, and you're deciding tonight, because I want to accept this steak as tribute. I'm accepting your steak as tribute.
Yeah. And if that's what you want to do, you shouldn't be judged for that. Like if that's where you want to go with it, that's on you to go there.
Perfect.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I wanted to get into, was based upon the definition of sex worker and everything that we talked about tonight. Should it be insulting to be called a sex worker? Should you feel ashamed? Like why is there a societal like shunning of people who do this?
Right. And you shouldn't feel ashamed, but unfortunately that is the case. Like there's shame that is built around being a sex worker.
And here's the thing. Go ahead.
I feel like it's sad that it's a stigma with sex workers, because there's people or different cultures where you're betrothed to someone because of what they offer. It's not even a real relationship. Two adults say, we got some money, we gonna make our kids get married or whatever. So like, I don't know, it's just, I feel like there's such a horrible stigma with people monetizing themselves. Like you're monetizing, you're capitalizing on yourself.
You're capitalizing on, like, But yeah, there's just so many levels to this, like, because you can, well, it's just frustrating because it's like, there's so many levels to this, like, so it shouldn't be a box. It shouldn't be a blanket statement. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, well, you deal in sex, so you are a sex worker, therefore you're a deviant, you're bad and harmful for society, right? It just shouldn't be that kind of stigma around it. So I think if more people could be comfortable with the fact that, okay, yeah, I'm a sex worker, you know, and it's not that bad or whatever, I think the narrative would change. And I think that's where
honestly, I feel like sex workers are entertainers. You're giving an experience. You're acting like you like somebody. You're acting. That is experience.
Right. For real. Because even let's take it down to Hunt's point. Let's use these categories over here. Okay. So streetwalker addicts. Okay. Even they are putting on an act to get to the point of money exchange. But I mean, and it's hard work regardless. I don't care if you're on the corner or if you're in an establishment or you're working for yourself. It's hard work.
I would think of a sex addict as an addict, period, like a drug addict. I wouldn't even call them a sex worker. They're just, you know, they may not even get paid because some people really,
but like sex workers, like the ones that do it.
Patton and Turner, they feed to the streets. Yeah, that one.
They do it for their next, you know, hit.
And that part.
I mean, and there are people that do that, but it's still hard work. There's still a lot of things that come along with it. I mean, and let's just get out of that section of it, because that, you know, there's so many controversies wrapped around that and things being illegal and all of that. But if you're a sex worker and let's say you're doing, I don't know, camming or OnlyFans or something where there is no physical contact, right? Because even in a dungeon, there's physical contact. So let's take it to online, right? Like, should that be deemed as negative? Because it is a lot of times. And even for men, because we had Mr. Valentino on here. We did an interview with him and he says he gets judged even as a man who's doing adult entertainment and dancing, and it also has his OnlyFans. You know what I'm saying? So why is it? And there's been a major shift because guys are now catching that. Like, that's weird, you know, to me, at least it is, because I come from an age where
I was just having that thought at the same time. Like, it's weird because most men don't get looked at it. They get looked at as like adult entertainers as opposed to a stripper or a whore or something like that. A woman is an adult entertainer too. I'm a dancer if I happen to strip, because some places are top on. I'm a dancer and I don't do anything, like, I don't know.
So there's a great question for King, because he is the only guy on the show, right? And you are technically labeled a sex worker because you work in a dungeon, or you have your own dungeon and you have clients. You take on people for a money basis and do whatever you're going to do with them in your negotiations process. But do you think that there's a negative connotation for the type of sex works that you do as a man?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's always, like I said, you're always going to have people on one side. You're always going to have people on the other side. You're never going to get everyone to meet in the middle and agree. And so, I mean, I have people in my family who don't agree with what I do. And that's fine. That's okay. I don't live in your house. I don't, you know, if I just got to deal with you on Thanksgiving and Christmas, you know, once a year, then cool, you know, whatever. You stay over there with, you know, whatever you think is right. I'm over here with what I think is right. I don't judge you for what you do, even though we could. You know, it goes back to that, you know, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And so I know a lot of people that got catapults in the middle of their glass houses, and I don't understand it. So
I think just people, go ahead. Sorry.
Like, just to answer Aurora's question. Yeah. I mean, everybody's gonna feel a certain kind of way. And we're never going to get everybody to agree, but just shut them up.
Right. That piece mic drop.
So true. Because, okay. So I think that people who work in dungeons get such a bad rap because there's so much more that goes into it. It's more of a therapist, because you're not necessarily getting off on it. You're having an outline of how you're pretty much doing your shadow work with the person. Right. And if they get off on it, cool. Sometimes they don't, but not necessarily. You're a provider, and it's not necessarily a sex provider. You're literally providing a therapeutic service in a psychology kind of analysis with them.
And like we talked about before on the show, I used to work in a dungeon. I was very, very close to a lot of my clients because you end up building a bond. And just because they're releasing in a different way, It may be physical. It may be, you know, the arousal build up and there is no release. But just because they're releasing, however that release looks for them in a different way, it's deemed bad. It's deemed like you're doing something bad. And I've really helped a lot of trauma, people that have gone through trauma, you know, get past this section of their trauma and move and go, oh my gosh, I'm something else. I don't have to be stuck. I don't have to be stuck and reliving this trauma every second of my life as I walk through it. I mean, I had lots of clients that would come in and ask for certain things, and because it looks weird or not accepted by society, right, then it's deemed wrong. But it's the same thing as going to a counselor, and because there were clients that I had that would just come in and talk. Like, we did nothing else but sit on the couch and freaking talk. Like, you know, and sometimes it just takes that, because there's people out in the world where nobody listens to them. Their wants, their desires, all they want is, you know, all they feel is people pulling from them. I want, I need. Yeah. So they have to get their release or something from somewhere.
Then they bottle it up inside, and then they get deemed as deviants because they act out. So it's like, you're damned if you do, and
you're just helping you along that path. Sex workers are just helping you along that path.
They're just a cheaper therapist. Okay?
Right.
Let's really cut the shit. Like, for
well, and something else worth mentioning is, I honestly have a lot of respect for sex workers, even more so than, you know, a lot of blue collar, white collar professions. Just because you, in a lot of different professions, you have an HR department, you have, you know, rules, guidelines, a code of conduct. When you're a sex worker, healthcare, you are the HR department. I mean, if you have a disgruntled customer, I mean, that's a one-on-one situation that you can.
You are your own bouncer. Yeah,
pretty much
your own bouncer.
And so, I mean, I don't think it really comes down to, you know, like opportunity or anything like that. So I know a lot of people say like, oh, well, if you were going to do that, then why didn't you study to be a doctor? Why didn't you become a lawyer? Why didn't you do something along a more acceptable route? And I always hate that term acceptability. Because if you really want to look at like law and what we deemed acceptable, you know, like back in the day, that isn't today. I mean, it's just a matter of opinions that change.
Yes.
And so what is acceptable,
how somebody else views it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, maybe we're 2-3 months, 2-3 years, 2-3 decades away from this no longer being an issue. But one day it's not going to be a fucking issue anymore, and everybody's going to be able to do this, and we'll be on to the next thing, you know, like, should you be allowed to eat bread or whatever? But
there'll be something that's deemed bad that we like.
It's always up to other people's interpretation, because like all of us have credentials in doing relationship counseling, any type of, we have education to back up what we're doing. It's not just somebody picking up a paddle and going and flogging people willy-nilly. It's like there is education, there is an art to it. There
definitely is.
It's just up to interpretation, and it's sad, like King said. Hopefully soon will be evolved.
Right. And I want to piggyback on that and just kind of put this out there, because like King said, you know, he has a lot of respect for sex workers, a lot of times more than like blue collar workers and that, or white collar workers. And that's kind of what I was hinting at before, where it's like, if you walk into a room, okay, there's 2 females that walk into a room, or 2 men that walk into a room, right? One's a lawyer, one's a sex worker, and you're mingling, you're networking, whatever. This person is going to get way more. The lawyer is going to get way more praise and way more network connections and all this. There's going to be at least 5 or 6 roadblocks before he gets to somebody that understands what the fuck he's about, you know, and that he's more than just, hey, here's
it's a different form of degradation,
right?
Well, here's the other thing, is like, if you never knew what their professions were,
hard, if not more difficult.
Yeah, both. Yeah, I heard both. You guys.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Gabe.
Yes.
No, actually, that's all I really had for tonight. So I don't know if we want to wrap this up or if we want to keep going.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, are we wrapping this up?
And what they do, and leave them alone. If you can't understand it, then mind your business. Like,
well, and here's the other piece of it. What you choose to do is what you choose to do, and it's beautiful. Like, whatever it is that you're choosing to do, as long as it's something that you enjoy doing, then
you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, then do it. What's wrong with it?
You haven't been pigeonholed into doing it, pressured. Like, if you find liberation in enjoying yourself and monetizing on yourself, by all means. The government, other people want to monetize off you in some way, shape, or form, be it your job.
They're already
Somebody
monetizing off of you.
Out.
You might as well
Why
get
not
yours.
pimp yourself out, okay?
Right.
Tip my hat to you.
I know you got a lasting word here, Mr. King. Come with the heartfelt nerd.
I really don't. I honestly don't. Like I said, I mean, it's mind your damn business. I mean, if you don't like it, then shut up.
Right.
It's been around since the dawn time. As soon as sex was we've been monetizing on sex forever. Period.
Yep.
Like, I'd like to meet the first person who decided, like, this was inappropriate or this wasn't acceptable.
Yes.
And just, like,
I mean, prostitutes that stuff was in the Bible. Like, they were in the Bible. That doesn't make somebody any less.
Prostitutes predate the Bible. Sex workers,
absolutely
predate.
Yep.
Yo, you want to know? So something crazy, really fast.
Fairy tales.
Something crazy, really fast.
I love it. Bring the story. Let's do it.
They did this study, right? And they used chimpanzees.
Okay.
And they had these chimpanzees that when they did certain tasks or completed certain things, that they would get tokens.
Okay.
They would give them some form of, they were trying to see if they could adapt to currency, more or less.
Okay. Understand.
All right. And so if they completed a task or they did something, like performed a trick, whatever, instead of giving them treats or, food as a reward, their rewards were tokens. But then they could take these tokens to the other side of the enclosure and in exchange for those tokens, receive food.
Okay.
Within 6 hours of this study, they found out that these chimpanzees were taking these tokens and giving them to females for sex.
Oh,
you a lie.
I swear to God, I can post that link. I can post that study.
Post that link on our page.
You run the world, baby. That's just right there.
You had something to say. I knew you had something to say.
You better
drop at the end of it. Just fucking.
So if y'all really want to split hairs and everything, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to believe in evolution, if you want to, create origin of species, argue it from whatever place, I'm gonna let you know right now that intelligence will lead to sex work.
I mean, if you're cheating on your wife with your side broad, you have to get them both gifts. So you cannot have your cake and eat it too, because you really purchased both cakes. So there you are right there.
So, I mean, dolphins do it for fun too. So birds do it, bees do it.
There's always that one toss up that everyone's like, we need that one.
Right.
And exactly. She's like, yes, let's go.
Let's go. All right, so this kid, I see him nodded. He was like, I had a quick story, now I want off. I see him nodded. So here we go. We're going to take this out. I hope you guys enjoyed our live tonight. If you want to see extra lives, make sure you're looking at the description box below. Patreon's there. All of our links are down below. But Kane, would you like to take us out?
Yeah, sure. All right. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. It's Friday night. You guys are going to be heading out. It's time to hit the clubs. Payday for a lot of people. All we do and everything that we are is just for you guys here, bringing you guys all the information that you guys need. So hopefully we brought it tonight. Hopefully you guys left here enlightened, knowing more than when you came in. So that's the purpose of SafeWord: relationships and education in every aspect, shape, and form. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll catch you guys later at SafeWord. Peace out.
Oh, and here's the fun part, because SafeWord likes to cut us off early, so you can see our pretty faces for like 30 more seconds, and like, Kane, give me life, because I got you. Hey, just give me. I use these for my thumbnails, guys, just in case you don't understand what we're doing here, because we get cut off early. So then we pose. And Sasha always has the cutest poses. Okay, well, that's all we got tonight.